So we're here for another moment in time conversation. So good moment, Litmus.
Good moment, Anna. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm looking forward to another little run around the eightfold year.
All right. So do you want to dive into what celebration went for you as you move more into I guess, the time of light and heat, and as I go more deeply into darkness down in the south?
Yeah, I mean
So
we're opposite each other, right? So for us, I mean for everyone, in the universal celestial calendar, we just go on the zodiac. So we're at the middle of Taurus for everyone, wherever you are on the planet. But for
mm,
us, that's mid in the northern hemisphere, that's mid-spring. But the spring of heat, which we're going to talk about. But for you, it's the middle of the autumn of heat,
mm,
right? So for us, it's what they call Beltane in the Celtic sort of terminology, and for you, it's Samhain. But
yeah,
but yeah, we've basically gone about 45 degrees around the circle from the Aries equinox. So cool. So you got the slides there, yeah. So
yeah.
we so yeah, should we run through it?
Yeah, let's go. I'll have to sort of do the pointer. So we're over here. This is Taurus, right? We're over here.
That's right. So yeah, that's just a little title slide. So we're looking at the eightfold year, also known as the Celtic Wheel of the Year. And this is something I incorporated into the UCC, back like 13 years ago when I first started using it, when I launched it kind of thing. So yeah, if you want to, so what we're showing there is the zodiac, and the eight shiny triangles, yellow triangles in the middle there. They're
Mm,
pointing at the eight seasonal festivals, okay, on the equinoxes and the solstices and the midpoints between them.
yeah. And we're at this one here, right?
Yes, that's right. Wherever you are on the planet. Yeah, so as you probably know, the Earth's axis is tilted at 23.4 degrees. So that with the rays of the sun hitting the Earth, that gives us the Arctic Circle, the Tropic of Cancer, the equator, the Tropic of Capricorn, and the Antarctic Circle, because they're all, the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn are 23.4 degrees above and below the equator,
Yeah.
and, and the Arctic Circle and the Antarctic Circle are 23.4 degrees down from each of their respective poles, yeah?
Yeah.
So that gives us those kind of imaginary great circles around the Earth. Well, that slide's showing actually the Cancer solstice. So it's showing the sun would be over the Tropic of Cancer because of the tilt of the Earth. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, if you want to skip on to the next one,
This one
um,
here.
yeah. So what you can see the axis tilted the same way there, um, and what that produces is these four major points of the orbit of the year, divides it into quarters, 4 quarters basically. So, this gives us 5 special days for the year. One in the middle for the sun, one for the new year, if you like, yeah. And then we have one, so numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5 there. We got number 2 is the Aries equinox. Number 3, because we go anti-clockwise around the sun, takes us to the
Mhm.
Cancer solstice, June the 21st in the Gregorian. And then we go around to the Libra equinox, 23rd of September. The Capricorn solstice on about the 21st of December. And then back to the Aries equinox on 20th of March in the Gregorian. So, that's where we get the 4 seasons. And those I've marked them for the Northern Hemisphere. So this Northern
Yeah.
Hemisphere spring is the first quarter and summer the second and so on. But for you in the south, they're opposites, right? So spring is autumn and winter is summer, and as we know. So, all right.
All right. Moving on.
Yeah, so people have probably seen this. The stone. the stone sort of construction in the background there.
The Celtic
Um,
cross, isn't it?
what's that?
The Celtic cross, yeah. The
Yeah, the
Celtic cross.
Celtic cross is also known as the solar cross, and it has an orbit, a bigger orb in the middle and four smaller orbs around the edge, and a circle, you know. So it's showing the orbit of the Earth at those four special points around the sun. Um, you know, and though what I've shown there as well is the zodiac signs that start at those points. So Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn.
Okay.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah, and if we if we divide that orbit of the year into 12 equal 30-degree segments, that's what basically is the tropical zodiac that gives it's the ancient calendar. It's a 12-month seasonal calendar.
mm,
Um, and it's basically pretty much what the UCC aligns very closely with that. And the names of the months are the symbols, but you know, in whatever language you use, it's your name for the ram or the bull or the twins or whatever it is. So in English we use the Latin names. So Aries is the ram, and Taurus is the bull, and Gemini is the twins, and so on. But you know, in other ancient calendars, like in Hindi and Hebrew and things, they have their names for those
yeah.
signs. Yeah,
Yeah. Makes sense.
yeah.
Moving on. So
All
this
right.
brings
So
our mid-season celebrations.
yeah, so all we've done there is we've added on now the midpoints between the solstices and the equinoxes, and this is what produces the eightfold year, the Celtic wheel of the year. So the first festival is at Aries equinox. The second one, where we are now, is the middle of Taurus, which is spring in the north, middle of autumn in the south, and so on. So the third one is for the Cancer solstice. Then the fourth one's for the middle of Leo. The fifth one's for the Libra equinox. The sixth one's for the middle of Scorpio. And the seventh one for the Capricorn solstice, and then the eighth one for the middle of Aquarius. And that's sort of Chinese New Year time. You might remember we did a little session then as well.
Yeah, exactly. So this is where we are today, or today-ish, I should say. We might.
Yeah, this where we are now. Yeah, that's right.
So we're in our mid-season of mid-spring or mid-autumn in Taurus. So
Yeah.
it's which is, I guess, for you, is that time of dancing around the maypole and
Yeah.
fertility rituals. Whereas for me, I guess we're getting into that final harvesting, getting ready for the preparing for the cold. Although, I live in Auckland, so we're kind of subtropical, so we don't have to deal with freezes and things like that. We can keep growing quite a bit of stuff through the winter, but it's still going to that period of, at the moment, it's very wet and rainy. And so and the days are getting shorter and shorter. So we're in I guess, the beginning of the final decline into the depth of darkness.
Yes, right. Yeah, you really are, opposite, right
Mm.
opposite us. I used to live in Melbourne. I think Melbourne's a similar latitude to Auckland, right?
Yeah, pretty close, I think.
Yeah, so I remember, yeah, I think the coldest it ever got in winter there was about 6 degrees C.
Mm.
Um, but you can get 4 seasons in one day. But but yeah, and where I am nowadays in Portugal, I'm near Lisbon now, but I used to hang out a lot in a place called Sagres, which is in the corner of Europe. It's basically the southwest corner of Europe. And that's the same latitude north of the equator as Melbourne is south of the equator.
Okay, so
So I have a
similar.
very similar climate to what I used to get in Melbourne. But yeah, you're for you in Auckland, yeah, it's
Mm.
as you say, you're going down into the darkness. So if we just look at these classic symbols,
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people would come across this symbol, but they may not necessarily really understand the full depth of meaning of what's being represented and passed down through time because we sort of lost a bit of our language of symbols. We don't, study and pay attention to them as they used to in the ancient world because it was really part of the language and passing on knowledge and information through pictorial representation.
Exactly. Yeah, you're dead right. And particularly through what we call the Kali Yuga, the age of ignorance, the darkest times of human consciousness between sort of 900 BC and 1900 AD. A lot of, as you say, a lot of our knowledge was lost. Libraries were trashed and books were burnt and
Mm,
lots of things were destroyed. But those, yeah, a lot of the symbols and things are still there. But as you say, people don't necessarily really know what they stand for, and they stand for a lot of things. So
mm,
if we take this symbol, what we're really showing there is those 4 quarters of the year we looked at earlier.
mm,
So the horizontal line here would be the equinoxes, and yeah, and the vertical line is the solstices, and the circle is the orbit. But what it also represents is the symbol for the Earth. So it's a cross. The cross in the middle represents matter, and the circle around the edge represents spirit.
mm.
So what that's telling us symbolically is that the Earth is a place where matter and spirit coexist in the same place because the cross is in the circle, but they're together on top of each other. So that's not commonly known, but it's a very symbolic thing for me, because I certainly feel that, we may
Mm.
be in a physical world, but there's certainly a spiritual aspect to it.
Yeah, I guess the way symbolism was described to me is there's always the esoteric meaning and the exoteric meaning and the esoteric meaning.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that move into this one.
Yeah, and then, the first one represents the seasons of heat, the solar cross, but this one is the crossed quarters, so then X in the circle. So this is the mid-season points. And this represents the seasons of light because it's showing you at the top where the lightest time of the year is, and at the
Mm.
bottom where the darkest time of the year is. And on the sides are the two periods where the light is rising and falling the greatest.
So we've got that ascent of light and then the descent into darkness.
Correct, yeah. And you can see if you imagine drawing a square there on that cross, you can
So,
see that the point where we are now in Taurus, it's a lot closer to the top of the circle than it is to the middle, right?
mm,
Even though you've only gone a quarter of the way round. So we can show you that on the next slides coming up. But if we put those two symbols together, this gives us this 8-pointed star, or it looks like a wheel of a ship, right? Steering a ship or something. But it's basically those two symbols overlaid on each other. And this
yeah.
is what symbolizes the eightfold year, the Celtic wheel of the year.
Yeah. And it's interesting in a way, like that we had this same symbolism shows up in the symbols of directions with the compass. We use the same pattern.
Exactly. Yeah. It's an as above, so below thing, right? Like
Mm.
hermetic correspondence, because we've got the directions on the ground and we've got these points in the sky based on our orbit. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see that wheel. You can directly overlay the UCC onto that as you did with the next slide there. Yeah. So that's the whole wheel of the year, and it's just highlighting the 8 seasonal festivals. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. And then you're just showing where we've come from the equinox.
Yeah, that's all right.
Period.
Aries equinox, you can see the sun there has just moved up
Yeah.
for us, but it's basically moved 45 degrees around the circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and it's reached middle of Taurus, which is 15 degrees of Taurus.
Mm.
So that's the mid-season festival of Taurus, but as we say, also known as Gwyl or Beltane.
Yeah.
Um,
I
yeah.
think we know some of this of where, oh, this was the Aries equinox.
Yeah, so that's all we're showing there is on the Aries equinox and the Libra equinox, the sun is directly over the equator. So it's
Mm-hmm.
basically they in astronomy they measure this in declination. So if it's above the equator, it would be plus so many degrees declination. And if it's below, it would be minus degrees. Yeah, and you've got the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn there, those yellow lines above and below the
So
equator.
there's this one. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, so
That's where we are.
that's where we are now. The sun, even though the sun's in from our perspective on Earth has only gone 45 degrees around the orbit,
Mm.
um, it's actually risen in the sky 16.3 degrees out of 23.4 degrees. So, it's gone halfway round from the equinox to the solstice, but it's gone 70% of the way up above the equator. And this is why, from now until the middle of Leo, it's going to be at least 70% or more above the equator. Yes, this is why it's such a light time for us and a dark
Yeah.
time for you.
So we've kind of gone through the fastest, what we perceive as the fastest sort of ascent into light, and then it sort of slows down in its progression because it sort of stays then kind of smooth and bit more evenly. Well, not smooth and evenly, but that it doesn't seem to ascend as much, and it sort of stays in a more similar place in the sky. You know what I'm trying to say. We talked about this a couple of times ago, I think.
Yeah, so from if you look, you can go on to that next slide if you want.
Yeah.
Um, if you look from Festival
Mm.
8, middle of Aquarius, to Festival 2, where we are now, Taurus, that's the spring of light for us in the north. It's the time when the light increases most rapidly. But then from middle of Taurus to middle of Leo, it stays high for a quarter of the year. And the opposite down the bottom. So from mid Scorpio to mid Aquarius, it stays low for a quarter of the year. But the 2 quarters in between, from Aquarius to Taurus and Leo down to Scorpio, it increases and decreases at the quickest rate. Yeah. So you
Mm.
get the most change. Um, and that's why these festival times have different seasonal significances. So if you just pop back to the slide before that, you can see at the bottom there, I put the lovers and conception. So in the Northern Hemisphere, the time of Beltane or Gwyl is called it's called the time of the lovers. It's the time of fertility. It's when the young lovers meet, and it's called conception. So
Mm.
if we represent the year as a cycle of, life in terms of having kids, this is the time of conception. The middle of Leo is the time you're with your family. The middle of Scorpio, Samhain, is when you celebrate your ancestors. And the middle of Aquarius, Imbolc, is called the birth time. It's when the kids are born, 9 months after where we are now. So in Taurus, you can see the child, and the child is born in the middle of Aquarius 9 months later, when you've gone 3 quarters of the way round the circle from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the so each of these 8 times has a title like that, and a special significance in the journey of the sun, symbolized in the life of a human couple as well.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's our completion of our slides.
Yeah, so what I've done now, I've just put the degrees. EL is ecliptic longitude, okay? So that's just telling you how far from the Aries equinox the sun has gone round a 360-degree circle. So,
Yeah.
Aries no 45 degrees, 90 degrees, and so on all the way round. And then the declination is telling you how much above or below the equator the sun is at that time.
Yeah. Which is
So that's
cool.
quite a handy little ready reckoner for the eightfold year, that one.
Very nice. So what is your sort of personal meaning around this particular time of year? How, like, do you have a favorite time of year or a particular time of year that most resonates for you? Or how does that sort of, if you want to share,
Yeah.
how does that
Yeah,
fit
yeah,
in?
yeah. I mean, I kind of like I really like the seasonal changes, I like change. I'm a massive Gemini, so lots of mutable energy. I love change. So I like to see and feel the changes. I like being where I am because it's not as extreme as in Britain.
Yeah.
Um, but you see the change, but it's easier to live through. But I do love spring because it's a plus plus season. The days are lighter and
Mm.
they're increasing in light. So it's like plus plus. In autumn, the days are shorter and they're getting shorter. So it's like a minus minus. Uh,
Yeah.
but I love spring, yeah, and the increase in the light and all the growth of everything and the flower. I mean, my land here is just covered in spring flowers at the moment.
Oh,
Um,
love.
Beautiful. Yeah, and you just don't want to mow anything, cut anything, or trim anything because you don't want to harm the flowers. Just want to leave the flowers there till they die naturally. So yeah, I
Yeah.
do love it. And for this time of year, what I normally do is, I Beltane means raging fire, I think, if you look at the etymology.
Okay.
So people would light a bonfire because they're celebrating in the north. So you would do it the opposite time of the year, but they're celebrating the fire, the lightest time of the year.
Mm.
Um, and what I usually do is light some candles. So um, I light, for example, I light my red sun candle
Hmm.
and my earth candle, and I'll just put them together during Beltane and let them burn for a while together. And I'll put my red candle in the circle like where mid-Taurus is,
Hmm.
45 degrees round kind of thing, and I'll put my earth candle in the middle, and I'll just leave it sitting there for a while and have a little meditation and think about the energies we're dealing with. Um, that's the thing with these things, it's not you don't really it's nice to get together. Often with me and different groups of friends, we'll have a little ceremony, play some music, have some food. But you don't have to do anything like that. You can just sit with yourself with your candles at home and just ponder on the energies of the time of the year, and ideally just get out and hug some trees and stuff, and get your feet on the bare earth or on the sand or paddle in the ocean or whatever and just feel the energy of the time of year.
Yeah. It's always a good time to do that. Always
Yeah.
a good connect with nature and feel the energy.
Exactly. And I mean, that talking about your subtle way, your subtle energies you work with. And
Yeah.
you just launched a new sort of thing recently with that, right?
Yeah, well, I started launching sort of a new podcast series. So going into working with subtle energies and using little tools and tips to help for our everyday sort of well-being. And then soon I am going to be launching an online yoga studio. So still working out all the details and getting prepared for that, but that'll probably happen just after the solstice. So moving out of the time of the depths of darkness, start working with the light, moving forward out of winter into spring. So I'm pretty excited about that. And
So just to be clear there, you're talking about the Cancer solstice that we'll have in about 45 days' time, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which for
So that
you is the winter solstice, but in the north is the summer solstice, yeah.
yeah. So for me, it'll be in the peak of the darkness, and then we'll slowly start to creep out of it. But yeah, so that'll be doing yoga practices, integrating the subtle energy techniques into it. So that's going to be
Cool.
quite fun. So really help sort of, in these times where we're just dealing with more and more pollution in every direction, more, and which is basically pretty toxic to our systems, but we need things to help support our bodies to keep kind of strengthening them and support sort of, I guess one of the things that's coming up a lot for me at the moment is healthy aging and making sure we're keeping our bodies strong and limber, and but it's focusing more on the energy system first than the physical aspect. So we do physical movement, but we're working with primarily with the energy systems so that the energy moves, because if the energy is not moving, the physical system is slow and sluggish as well. So we're kind of going energy first and then the physical, because that's the nature of existence. It's energy
Yeah,
first, matter.
absolutely. I mean, it's energy, vibration, and frequency, right? So
Exactly.
everything, including us, is energy vibrating at a certain frequency, and it's mostly empty space, right? So
Mm.
I think working with the subtle energies as you're doing is a fantastic way to go, and launching it at your winter solstice time is a great thing to do because then your light cycle is going to increase. So hopefully everything you do is going to grow with that light cycle increasing as well.
Exactly, that's the plan. So we'll work on that. But a
And
lot,
I think we said earlier we've got the new moon in Cancer just after the solstice as well. So that's a good time as well.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think you said it was the 25th.
Yeah, the 4th of Cancer. 25th of June is the new Cancer moon.
Mhm.
Um, obviously at 4 degrees Cancer on the 4th of Cancer. Um, yeah, and the solstice is like that's one of our special days in the calendar, a special day
Yeah.
for for the solstice on the 21st of June, yeah. So yeah, good. You got the new light cycle starting for you and the new Cancer moon, the new moon light cycle starting as well. So great time to do what you're doing.
All right. Well, thank you. And so thank you very much for sharing your knowledge today, Litmus. Much
Always a
appreciated
pleasure, darling.
the moment. So yeah, so everyone, thank you for watching and being with us, and please share and like and subscribe.
Yeah, and enjoy Beltane, um,
Mm.
Gwyl have Middle of Taurus Festival, whatever you call it, wherever you are. Just yeah, enjoy, and we'll see you. Well, I guess we'll see you for the Cancer solstice, eh?
Yep, that'll be our next one. That'll be our next celebration.
All right, good moment, Anna. Peace, love, and freedom.
You too.